Welcome to my video update on the development progress for the Steam VR simulation of the 1851 Great Exhibition. We start this update by passing through the main entrance and moving towards the crystal fountain at the center of the building, before turning east, passing between the statues of Dr. Jenner and the Marquis of Bute, towards the Italy section. We then turn north into the Rome section. Here we find Mosaics by Domenico Moglia. These mosaics are made from thousands of pieces of colored glass. These two are part of the Gilbert collection in the care of the Victoria and Albert Museum. The subjects are the Colosseum and the Forum. A third mosaic shown at the Great Exhibition by the same artist, of the temples of Paestum, was sold at auction in 2015, and is believed to now be in a private collection. Luigi Moglia, the son of Domenico, also exhibited mosaic work alongside his father, but we have been unable to locate any of the work he exhibited. Moving west along the nave, we cross the transept, passing the India and Canada sections, before turning south towards the medieval court. Referring to this watercolor view looking into the medieval court from just outside the northeast doorway, we have changed the coloring of the walls and added curtains to the doorway. On the east side we have added these Jardinière to match the watercolor. The models here are based on the only two examples known to have survived, which are now at the Victoria and Albert Museum. On the opposite wall we find a plate and a bowl, manufactured by Minton. These also are at the Victoria and Albert Museum. We now exit the medieval court via the south, turning east along the passage to the small New Zealand section. Here is a lithograph copy of a painting by John Alexander Gilfillan of a native village or pa. Born in Jersey, he served in the Royal Navy before becoming an artist and rising to the post of Professor of Painting at Glasgow's Andersonian University. He migrated to New Zealand age 48 but left for Australia 6 years later, after his wife and 3 of his 4 children were killed. He finished the original of this painting in Australia. We now take the stairs to the gallery level. Here we move west, passing Peter Lawson's stand of the vegetable productions of Scotland, to an exhibit which continues the New Zealand theme. This display of leaves, fruits and flowers by Emma King is described in the exhibition catalogue as Specimens of Anatomized Plants. It was passed down to her grandson Lance Hare, who emigrated to New Zealand with his wife in 1956. In 1972, they retired to Taupo. It was bequeathed to Taupo Museum in 1986. We continue round the west end of the gallery, taking the bridge over the staircase. We then continue west, passing George Merriweather's Tempest Prognosticator, and then in front of the Willis organ, before turning east towards the next edition for this update. James Nasmyth, inventor of the steam hammer, an example of which can be found in the machinery at Rest Court on the ground floor of this exhibition, was also a keen amateur astronomer. He exhibited several of his paintings of the moon, including this full-face view. These are now in the care of the Science Museum Group. We now pass Smith's comic electric telegraph to take the stairs back down to the ground floor, turning east along the nave to some examples of footwear now in the care of Northampton Museum and Art Gallery. In this display case we find a magnificent pair of Wellington boots by John Hefford of Derby. On the stand to the right is a women's black and gold brocade silk mule by James Dowie. We now continue east along the nave, and turning north into the machinery at Rest Court. To our right is the steam hammer by James Nasmyth, the artist who created the paintings of the moon we saw at the gallery level. In front of us is the final edition for this update, the LNWR Cornwall. By adding this model, the simulation now contains all 10 British steam locomotives which were displayed at the Great Exhibition. The Cornwall has very large 8-foot 6-inch diameter driving wheels in the middle, and a very low boiler, allowing the driving axle to pass through a channel in the top of the boiler. Cornwall was extensively redesigned in 1858, the outside frames and arches over the driving wheels being the main recognizable surviving pieces. It is now on display at Locomotion in Shildon, County Durham. The original worksplate is retained, an image of which is used in this model. Don't forget, the simulation can now be downloaded from Steam. It is free of charge, and always will be. Although best when used with a VR headset, if you don't have a headset it will also work in desktop mode, using your monitor, keyboard and mouse.